I love how I keep using earrings to distract you from the mess that is my hair, and now that I've brought your attention to it, you will see the mess that is my hair. Okay, never mind. So this will probably be the first clip in this possible video that I'm doing. I have a plan, I have an ambition, a very ambitious plan to read Christmassy reads / wintry reads, and it has already been many days since I made this list. Yeah, so I am going to update you about my progress. So this is kind of like a reading vlog / themed video, I don't know. Yeah, so I have a list of books that I want to read. Probably cannot finish everything, but yeah, let me just let you know what I'm interested in. Okay, so we have A Boy Called Christmas, Deal of a Lifetime, One Day in December, Spinning Silver, Christmas Bookshop, Window Shopping, Hunting Party, Mistletoe Motif, A Princess for Christmas, Duke Actually, and Figging Under the Mistletoe. I have kind of got through 3, DNF'd 1, so that's like 4 books kind of touched on. The first one, let's go in order of the timing that I read them. Okay, the first one is Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Buckman. I have to say that I have no idea what I read because that was a very short book. The audiobook was only like 47 minutes, and I have to admit that I wasn't paying a lot of attention. So I marked as I read it, but I didn't read it because that would be unfair because I didn't pay attention to the book at all. But I am kind of like not interested in reading through it again. Like, I got the general gist of the story, and to be very honest, it didn't like do anything for me, which is why I wasn't really paying much attention to it also. Nothing much to say about that. The second one was One Day in December, also known as the book I DNF'd, because I did not know that this was a book about cheating, about the characters making weird decisions. Basically, when I first read it, when I was reading it, I think I got to like, I DNF'd at 18.9% because I was reading the book and listening to the audio. This book, right, is about how this female character, she sees this man like from at the bus stop, and she's on the bus, and they make like eye contact, and they have this connection, and she was determined to find him because of this connection. So like love at first sight basically. And she like tried to find him for 2 years and couldn't find him, and suddenly she got reintroduced to this guy, but that guy is her best friend's boyfriend. Even like the concept itself is already like, it's on me for not reading through synopsis before getting into the book, but that's how I like to read my stories. So I decided to DNF it because it's about how like they have not forgotten one another. They are trying to resist their feelings, I guess, but they're also like kind of flirting, even though the guy is still in a relationship with the best friend. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, is this connection strong enough for you to firstly not forget this person for 2 years, and secondly to like ruin your relationship with your best friend over this guy? I don't know, man. Like, that's why I DNF'd it. So people have enjoyed this, and I guess different people have different opinions, and that's fine. Just that it's not a book for me, so I DNF'd it. Number 3 is A Princess for Christmas. I actually didn't want to read this, but I wanted to read it only after wanting to read Duke Actually, which was a 2021 release. But people were saying how Duke Actually is more of a sequel than like a companion novel compared to other like romance books, where the other books can be read as like a standalone because those are just like Easter eggs. But I don't know, that's why I decided to just read A Princess for Christmas, and actually it was quite enjoyable. Like, it was way too long, so I didn't really give it like a very high rating. I gave it like 3.5, but it was very cute. It felt like a Christmas movie but in a book version, which was very interesting. And it was very steamy, like steamier than I expected, because the cover was like so innocent looking. But yeah, I gave it 3.25 because I don't know, it felt like the conflict was predictable given the context of the story, and the resolution was kind of like just ta-da, things are resolved, you know. And maybe it's because I missed it somewhere, I don't know, but it was cute, especially because the male main character has a sibling, and I love children in books. That's a thing that I realized this year. And the audiobook did it very well also. Oh wait, let me explain the story. So basically the story is about how this princess of Eldovia travels to New York for like a meeting for their country, so like for political stuff, and she has to like meet these different people, institutions, organizations, I don't know, to like secure relations or like secure materials for something. I didn't really pay much attention to that part. But yeah, so that's why she was in New York. And when she was in New York, she met the male main character, who is a taxi driver. And somehow they become entangled together, right? And then he ends up working for her as like her chauffeur. So like she pays him to drive him around to meet all the different people that she needs to meet. And so the story progresses from there. And yeah, it was just a very cute romance, steamier than expected, a little too long for my liking, and the resolution of the conflict wasn't like too really like satisfying for me, which is why I ended up giving 3.25. And I don't know whether I'll be reading the sequel, Duke, actually anytime soon, because I'm waiting for the audiobook to come through, and there's still like 4 more weeks of waiting. So like yeah. And finally, on to the last book that I read so far is A Boy Called Christmas. I literally finished it and started this clip. And so far it's my favourite out of everything that I've read because it's so cute. It's by Matt Haig, the person who wrote Midnight Library. The story, which I love, and ever since I read it, I've seen more reviews of people not really liking it, but I still stand by it that I love it. I love all these wholesome reads, okay? But yeah, okay, so Matt Haig and this illustrator called Chris Mode. Yes, Chris Mode is the illustrator for this book, and it's so cute. Okay, I only wanted to read this because I wanted to watch the movie because of Dear Alexandra Roslin. That video about her reading that book and watching that movie sold me on this book, okay? So I wanted to watch the movie. I'll probably watch it like on Christmas Day. Yeah, to have all the feels, you know. This is a Christmassy feel. So yes, that's why I started reading this, and it's so cute. Like, oh my gosh, I have also seen like Brit from Basically Brit recommending this a lot since like last year. But yeah, oh my gosh, so this is a story about a boy called Nicholas, and again I went in blind, so I did not read the synopsis, but now the synopsis is saying you're about to read the true story of Father Christmas. So that is not a spoiler, that is from the book synopsis itself. But for me, when I went in blind and I started to read like reviews of it, that kind of spoiled me a little bit, but like yeah, it's fine. So this is a story about this boy called Nicholas and how he eventually becomes Father Christmas, and it's so cute. The illustrations are absolutely like stunning also. Oh my gosh, and the story is freaking cute. Okay, so I've read Matt Haig's like adult book, and now I've read Matt Haig's middle grade book, and they both work so well for me. Oh my gosh, the story was really cute, and it's very interesting to see how like from Nicholas's story you can see all the different aspects of Father Christmas that we know like now come in together in his story, like from the reindeers to the hat to how the elves work, how this whole Christmas thing works. Like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And I gave it 4 stars because I felt like towards the end it became a bit more rushed, you know, because suddenly like all these things were happening like bam bam bam, and then we weren't like given much time to like process it, and then it became a lot of like telling rather than showing, which I don't really like. But it's so cute. And also, there was this part about his father, right, Nicholas's father, called Joel. So the story is about how Joel, right, he sets on this mission with a few other men to find proof of elves. So he leaves Nicholas like with under the care of his sister, who is Nicholas's aunt, and he, after a few months where he didn't return, like it was a few months after the timing which he told Nicholas he would return, Nicholas decided to go set out on an adventure to find his father. Yeah, so that's how the story starts. So now I'm going to put like a spoiler warning. So on his journey, he meets like these characters, and it felt so much like a found family trope thing to me, and I love found family, so it was like immediate plus points to the book already. Okay, like Nicholas eventually finds his father, but we find out that they had kidnapped this elf as proof to show the king that there was proof of elves in the real world, so as to get like rewards for it, right? And it turns out that that whole kidnapping thing was Joel's idea, so it was very heartbreaking for Nicholas. Nicholas tried to free the elf, but he was kind of like helpless because there were so many people around surrounding him, right? But while the rest were sleeping and his father was taking first watch, the father decided to help Nicholas free the elf suddenly. And I was just like, why? Like, is it because the father said that day was his birthday and he was his son, so like he suddenly changed his mind? I don't know, like I guess for middle grade it's like you can't really expect like a lot, but for me I still want to expect like a lot. Like, yeah, so that's why I didn't really give it the full 5 stars, you know. And also how like there was Joel eventually like died because of the sleigh being too heavy, and he had to like sacrifice himself so that he can be remembered as something like up for something good. And I was like kind of sad, like unexpectedly. So I don't know how like children will receive this book when they read about that part, because this is supposed to be like a heartwarming story, right, about Father Christmas. But yeah, it overall like it's still a very very cute story, which I will recommend whenever you feel like you want to feel the Christmassy feels, because it really hit it for me after the first few books that I read. A Princess for Christmas kind of started to get me into the Christmas mood, but this one really like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait for a few days before I watch the movie, just so that I won't get tired of the story. But yeah, the next book I'm planning to move on to, oh wait, no, I haven't included another one. I want to read in the holidays also, because that was recommended to me by a friend on Bookstagram. If you want to follow my Bookstagram, it will always be linked down below. Yeah, so I am currently reading that book now with the audiobook also. But as for like ebook without any audiobooks, right, I'm thinking between Mistletoe Motif and Faking Under the Mistletoe and Window Shopping. Yeah, so between those 3 I'll choose one. So that's the end of my very long introduction clip. Hello! First of all, Merry Christmas, because now it is 1:10 a.m. and it is officially 25th of December. So what better way to give you an update about the books that I have been reading for this themed reading vlog than to put on something special. So I just got back from meeting some friends, and a friend gave me this. Yeah, a Santa hat and cookies also, but it's over there. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna I don't know, man. This is a weird look. Is this better? Okay, I feel like this is slightly better. Okay, I'm just gonna say that I'm going to update you on what have I read since then. Window Shopping, Deal of a Lifetime, and the Holidays. Before that, I'm gonna remove this Santa hat because I cannot pull it off. Okay, I feel somewhat normal again, so let me just briefly talk to you about In the Holidays. So the book covers will be here, Yeah, so in the holidays, I DNF'd at like 60%, I believe. I'll put the exact numbers on the screen if I'm not too lazy. But yeah, I DNF'd it because I was listening to it via audiobook and occasionally reading the book at the same time, and it just wasn't grabbing me. And it's about like this Groundhog Day theme. So this girl, she like kind of wishes or something, like what our main character is called Maylin Jones. I did not even know that. Okay, that's saying something. I read 60%. She thinks a simple plea to the universe: please show me what will make me happy. And because of that, she kind of repeats the same day where she is in her, like on the way to this cabin that she and her family and another like close family, they always go together to travel. And it's about how like she keeps repeating this day, like facing her feelings for like a certain person there. Yeah, and it was like so boring for me, which was why I DNF'd at 63.4%. So I really didn't care what was happening. So I decided to DNF it and move on to something else. So my next choice was Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, and this is the same Tessa Bailey that wrote Fix Her Up and It Happened One Summer, both of which are very popular books on BookTube also. So I have heard about them but did not recognize them to be the same author. So Window Shopping is actually quite short. It's about this grumpy sunshine trope, which I realized that I like a lot. Normally the grumpy is the guy and sunshine is the girl, but now in this book it's reversed. So the grumpy is the girl and the sunshine is the guy. And so they meet because the female main character, she is standing in front of a window, you know, the departmental store windows that like showcases some stuff to attract customers to go into their store. Yeah, so she's standing outside there and she's like judging the window display. And this guy with a bow tie, he like walks up to her and then they strike up a conversation about the window display. And he was like, oh, so if it were you, like how would you change this display? And so she told him, and then he was like impressed, and he recommended her to like sign up to apply for like this window dresser position. I'm not too sure what's the actual position called. She hesitated at first because she actually has been convicted and went to prison before, so she just came out only, so like she was certain that they wouldn't hire her. But like on the spur of the moment, she decided to like just do it, you know, because what's the worst thing that can happen? They can just reject her. Yeah, and in the end she gets the job, and like they have a romance from there, and it's like very cute, very fast read. Almost too short for me because towards the end I felt like it was getting a bit rushed. So like the author was like trying to tie up all the loose ends very quickly. So it was like bum 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 bum. Things are getting like resolved like scene after scene, which is like I would rather it to be longer and like we have more time and so on. Oh, and yes, this book is very very steamy, like super steamy. Okay, yeah, and I was like, not bad, not bad. Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been longer. And in the end I gave it like 3.75 stars. Yes, because like towards the end I was kind of like do I want it to be over? Do I want it to be longer? I don't know, you know, it's like yeah. But I think there wasn't really like a conflict, like a super like big conflict in this story that they have to like go through, like like the heartache and then like the yearning and then getting resolved. Like it wasn't really like emphasis on that. Yeah, and I really liked Aiden. The male main character's name is called Aiden, and oh my god, where do I find Aiden? So that was the most recent, or not the most recent, the second most recent. And then today I sat down and read Deal of a Lifetime with my eyes. I felt like I should give it a fair chance, so I like borrowed the ebook and read it through. Very quick read, like even faster than Window Shopping. This is like 147 ebook pages. I find that it's a very very short story, so I really don't know how to rate it, which is why I didn't rate it. For what it is, right, it's a very touching story, and like I recommend reading it with your eyeballs instead of just with your ears. Maybe you can like read it and listen to the audiobook at the same time, because the book, right, actually has very beautiful illustrations, which I didn't even know about because the first time I just listened to the audiobook. So like definitely read the book with your eyes. And it's about this father who is writing a letter to his son, about their past relationship with each other until the current day, and kind of like a bit of fantasy-ish elements there, like very like, is it called paranormal? But yeah, it's like a very short story, so I really don't want to say anything else that will potentially spoil you. So yeah, you can just read it for yourself. I am currently reading Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Kogan. So next update will be coming soon. Merry Christmas! It's officially Christmas Day. Yesterday night was like the night of Christmas, the morning of Christmas. It has been very busy today because I went out with my family just now to go to the market to buy some groceries for tomorrow, and later on in about an hour's time I have to leave to meet my friends for hot pot. But I have 1 hour, and in this hour I am trying my best to do something festive. Okay, so my plan is to watch A Boy Called Christmas, the Netflix adaptation of Matt Haig's book, the one that I read recently also. So I'm very excited to watch that. I am going to speed up the movie because I only have 1 hour. And what better way to watch the movie with a festive mug? Oh my gosh, okay. So can you see it? It's like a Christmas mug from Coffee Bean. My friend bought it as a set to give to me for my birthday. And apparently it is color changing. And there is a reindeer spoon, so I'm going to go and wash this. Yeah, so apparently the cold image is like this and the hot one is like this. So now it's the cold version. Later on, hopefully you will see the white version together, and you can watch me open it. Oh, so the spoon is like that? That's so cute, oh my gosh. So this is the reindeer spoon, so cute. And the mug. Are you ready? Such a big mug. I need to take out the styrofoam. Second one, and there is a piece of paper. To see the color changing effect, fill the mug up to 3/4 full with beverages that are 80 degrees and above. Wash the mug using warm soapy water before use. Hand wash only. Please do not soak the mug in water. What does that mean? Oh, okay. Avoid scrubbing or using metal sponges as it may damage the color changing decor. Cannot be used in the microwave. Oh, this is so sad. My milk is not going to be hot enough. Well, do not overfill the mug with hot beverage. Okay. I'm gonna go and wash this and come back, and hopefully you can see it, okay? Oh my god. Yes! This is so complicated. Okay, I have to use another cup to reheat it. Ah, yeah, okay. Then I put marshmallows. Can you see my marshmallows? Yeah, the tiny ones. So yeah, I'm gonna like quickly start the movie now and hope for the best.
Merry Christmas. I'm working on it.
Okay, I only have 45 minutes left, but I need to leave the house already. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue when I come back tonight. I hate doing this, but okay, never mind, no choice. I am finally done with the day and I have time for myself. And so now I'm gonna continue from the afternoon, which you saw like in a previous clip. So So I went out with my friends, we ate hot pot for Christmas, we walked around, we talked, and when I came back I played cards with my family. And now I am back on my commute to the location. I actually finished the Christmas bookshop, so I'm going to give you my review at the same time here. I listened to this via audiobook, and this author wrote Bookshop on the Shore, which I really enjoyed mainly because of the audiobook and the characters and how the story flowed also. I really enjoyed that book. This one, on the other hand, I felt like it was very similar to Bookshop on the Shore, but just that this one has a festive theme to it, and the characters and the overall flow of the story wasn't as good as Bookshop on the Shore. So in this one, we actually follow the pair of sisters. They have a strange relationship with each other because of how I think the younger sister is called Carmen, and she always feels less than her older sister called Sophia, and she just is very sensitive because Sophia is just a lot better than her. So Sophia feels the strain because of this thing. Their parents will be oh Sophia, you have to what you say, what you do, don't trigger Carmen, such that she will blow up or things like that. I think the context was she went to visit Sophia, and also Sophia helped Carmen get a job at this bookshop. This bookshop is basically, the owner of the bookshop is a client of Sophia, who I believe is a lawyer, and the bookshop is at risk of being put up for sale and closing down. So Sophia recruited Carmen to work at the bookshop to try to bring it back to life so that the clients will be able to keep the bookshop. It has a festive note throughout the book because it's about the Christmas bookshop, and I felt the audiobook was okay. It has the same aspects that I liked while listening to Bookshop on the Shore, because it has the beautiful voices of the children also, and the Scottish feels to it, but the plot I think didn't really do it for me. I felt it could have been executed better. There were quite a few characters in this book, and because of that, I felt each character, some characters were fleshed out really well, but some were kind of underdeveloped. And because of these underdeveloped characters, their relationships will also will not be as fleshed out to me also. So I felt that could have been worked on better. Overall, it was just okay. I got a bit confused with the plot. I'm not sure if it's because I was listening to the audiobook and reading along, but mostly listening to the audiobook, but I'm not sure. And that's why I felt I missed some parts of the story. Then it became very confusing for me, or I'm not sure if it's just the book itself. However, it was great this might be a spoiler, so I'm just gonna put a spoiler warning, okay? So it was great to see characters from Bookshop on the Shore be featured in this book. Oh my gosh, it's a merge of both worlds. But yeah, overall I gave it 3 stars, and actually Christmas is already over because it is past midnight, but technically I have already finished my 100th book. So the Christmas bookshop was book 100 for me, but on Goodreads it is only 99 because one of the books that I read this year, it was not listed on Goodreads, so I was also too lazy to go and feature it there. But yeah, I'm gonna read 1 more, maybe 2 more before. I'm not sure where to stop actually, because I still have Christmassy books that I want to read. The next book that I'm reading, which is Mistletoe Motive. Look forward to more update. I am now finally going to be finishing A Boy Called Christmas to end Christmas with a bang. Okay, I'm not technically the next day already, but it's not over until I sleep. So yes, eye bags are real, but it's okay. So I'm going to finish A Boy Called Christmas. Oh, so far let me tell you about my thoughts, okay? I feel it is a really rushed movie. It's beautiful, the showing and everything. But I feel maybe because I have read the book, right, so I know how things are supposed to play out. And of course there are some things different than what happened in the book, which is a good point for me, because then I feel it's worth it to read the book and watch the movie also to note the differences. But it's interesting to see how because some events that happened in the book, right, they were there so that it sets a precedent for how future events will unfold. But because of these changes in the movie, that means the way that these events unfold will have methods that they are unfolded will have to change as well. So I'm quite curious to see how it's going to play out. But I feel because it's a movie, or maybe because the book itself also was quite fast paced, right? Things keep happening, and it's it doesn't leave much room for us to fall in love with the characters or like develop this event before I'm moving on to the next thing. So it's like bum 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 bum. Yeah, but it's still quite an enjoyable movie, I would say. But so far I don't think it will beat my favourite Christmas movie of all time, also known as Claus. Yes, so I'm gonna finish it and I'll give you my thoughts later. Oh my god, I finished it. I gave it 4 stars. And I'm going to sleep now, I'm so tired. Oh my god, look at my eye bags. It was quite enjoyable towards the end because there were like a few twists that I did not know about, that I wasn't expecting. They were different from the book, so yes.
4 to 6 days later.
Good morning. It is 2 days later since my previous update. I couldn't get myself to put it on the tripod and update you yesterday because after I took my booster, I had a fever, not exactly high, I guess. It was like 38 point something. So I just kept sleeping the whole day and eating Panadol, and the next day, which is today, I am now feeling better, so I can finally update you and close out this themed vlog because I finished 2 books from the previous time I updated you. So I finished Mistletoe Motive, which is another Christmassy romance. It was about like 2 people that are working as co-managers in this bookshop, and it's kind of like enemies to lovers because the bookshop is like financially constrained, so they believe that they need to like cut costs, right? So like one of them might have to leave so that the bookshop can survive. So they have this enemies thing, and then they become like kind of attracted to one another. Yeah, and it's kind of like a little bit of Grumpy Sunshine because the male main character doesn't like the holidays and the female main character loves them. It's kind of like them just getting together. And this is an own voices story for its portrayal of autism by an autistic author. So there was a lot of representation in this book, autism, and then there's also like being demisexual and I think being diabetic. So either the some parts of it is own voices by the author, or the author went to like do her research on from people who she knew has these things. It has like a quite good representation. I'm not sure how well represented it is because I do not have any of those, but it was refreshing to see this like being portrayed in a romance book, especially for like a holiday Christmassy one. And it was like pitched as a novella, so it's actually like quite, and I really enjoyed it actually. I gave it like 4.25 stars because it is very cute, but the overall story is like not really unique apart from like the representation for each character, because like this overall storyline of like enemies to lovers in a bookshop or like you've got mail, that kind of concept is all like I have seen it or read about it in other stories, other like works before, so it is definitely not original apart from the representation, which is okay. I still enjoyed it, but yeah, so I gave it 4.25. And the last book that I'm going to talk about, and it's unfortunately a very bad ending for this, because I finished The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley and I only gave it like 2.5 stars because I don't know, man, I don't get the hype for it also. Like, it's just about this like group of friends. They went to this holiday cabin or like resort, like to experience being in the wild, you know, and all the hunting stuff. In that place, right, one of the friends died, and the suspect anybody who was in the cabin, cause the weather condition is very bad, so like they're all like snowed in and trapped in and all that kind of stuff. And the reveal was just like very meh for me. Actually, I didn't like really like care about any of the characters also. Like overall, it was just a very meh story. 2.5 stars, which was why I just had enough. So I'm not going to read Duke actually faking under the mistletoe and spinning silver in this vlog. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed my journey with me. So overall, I read 7 books and I DNF'd 2 books. It would have been nicer if I read 1 more so that it's like 10, you know, but it's just 9, but it's okay. I cannot be bothered anymore. Yeah, okay, so bye.